Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing fantastic and ready for another video. So I'm sitting there watching Kelsey Ellison's movie Sisters of House Black for like the 7th or 8th time. And if you know me, you know I love anything with a prequel feel. I think there's so much that can be done with the backstory of certain characters, especially Tom Riddle's journey, and I've said this time and time again, but it's not like we'll ever get the prequels we actually want, which is why I appreciate movies like Sisters of House Black among the many other fan-made prequels. Broad Strokes definitely deserves a mention for their work too. But anyway, while watching the movie, it got me thinking about how each sister went down a different route, a different path for each of them, and it's quite a unique way of looking at the sisters as a trio instead of individually. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, how the Black sisters' choices sent them on different roads, different paths that basically outlined their futures from a very early standpoint. So with that being said guys, let's continue. Now I'm not exactly sure if JK actually intended for the three sisters to form this sort of intertwining triangle, each point being linked to a sister before having their destinies go as far away from each other as possible. I think it's a little coincidental, but important to note that JK wanted a different dynamic for each sister, and I've got to say she did such a great job in the character development of them all. Maybe she could have shed a little bit more light on Andromeda, but what's clear is they all went down completely separate paths, which is a long way from the closely knitted beginning they all had together. There's not much age between the three, a year or two in the difference, but what is a certainty is that they all grew up together in the same house and were loved by their parents. The Blacks may have been strict in accordance to their ideologies, but that doesn't mean it showed a lack of empathy on their behalf. Andromeda, Narcissa and Bellatrix originally had a very strong bond. At the time, their sibling love was almost unbreakable, but it wasn't highlighted until they were of age how important blood purity and magical nobility truly was. The House of Black lived and breathed pure blood pride. It was pivotal for the survival of the original magical race. Now we know ourselves as readers that this was a heavily biased stance, and it was never ever proven that pure blood wizards were more powerful than half-bloods or muggleborns, but however, it was the family belief and ideology, along with several other high-profile families. So all three sisters attended Hogwarts, all sorted into Slytherin, and at the time, even for a considerate length of time, all three women were completely on board with the expectations that came with their surname. However, something that they didn't share was their personalities, which all differed greatly, and was basically the reason that all three went upon such different paths. So let's look at each individual and analyze how their choices affected their futures. Let's start with Bellatrix. Now, Bellatrix had quite a compulsive personality, meaning anything she applied herself to led to sincere and thorough dedication. She went above and beyond to get the result she wanted. Bellatrix was quite academically gifted during her school days, and I don't think that's something that many people realize. Bellatrix was a sister who wholeheartedly embraced the pure blood beliefs. She was really devoted to maintaining the expectations of her parents and what the name Black represented. So much that she married a man she didn't even love, nor cared much for in Rodolphus Lestrange, and that kind of gives an easy read on Bellatrix's personality. She went down the extremist route. Her personality traits were basically multiplied when she met Lord Voldemort. She became obsessedly in love with him and vowed to do everything in her power not only to serve him but to impede upon any who tried to stop him, and that means killing, torturing and inflicting as much harm as possible. Now this was something not even her parents would have foreseen. In fact, it was a little too much, as Bellatrix incriminated herself and the surname of House Black. Though many pureblood families supported Voldemort, they did so from a distance, but not Bellatrix. She took it to a whole new level. So as you can see, this was a route that neither of her two sisters would have followed, as they didn't share her lust for success in the name of Voldemort. Now that takes Bellatrix in one direction. She ends up doing extremely awful and despicable things, most notably being the torture of the Longbottoms. She's caught, she's sent to prison, and most importantly, she's happy to be there once again because it's in the name of her master. It's difficult to comprehend Narcissa or Andromeda even looking at Bellatrix in the same light after the latter committed such horrific crimes. Now, next we have Andromeda, who went so far in the opposite direction to Bellatrix that they might have been, well, worlds apart. Andromeda, as expected, was originally in support of keeping the wizard world pure, especially with her family being such a prominent fixture amongst the wizarding community, but I honestly feel that was quite a light-hearted approach. If she had met and married a pureblood wizard, then that's all well and good, but that would have meant she'd still be in contact with both Bellatrix and Narcissa, which in turn means she may have been asked to join Lord Voldemort, something I don't believe she'd have thoroughly enjoyed. She didn't meet a pureblood or even half-blood wizard. She met Ted Tonks, a Muggleborn with whom she fell deeply in love with. Despite early warnings from her sisters, Andromeda still pursued her relationship with the Hufflepuff student, and eventually it came down to choosing between Ted and her family, who made it very clear that they would never accept such a disgrace of a union. Andromeda most likely knew this was coming, and it did. Not only did her parents and sisters not support her choice of partner, but she was also disowned and erased from the Black family tapestry. Bellatrix was avidly in support of such an act, but I feel it may have weighed heavier on Narcissa, though she'd never let it be shown. It wasn't all doom and gloom though. Andromeda and Ted built their own life together. They had a child, Nymphadora, who was extremely gifted, and they stayed clear of the fighting. So as you can see, Andromeda and Bellatrix are literally at opposite ends of the scale, but both influenced by love. Then we have this sister who, in my opinion, got it just right. Narcissa appeared to make all the right choices. She found a balance of appealing to and appeasing everyone. Narcissa was not only going to marry a man for the sake of it like her sister, she also wasn't going to risk being disowned by her family for marrying someone of impure blood. So she cleverly seeks out both, and she finds it in Lucius Malfoy, and man did she strike gold. Lucius had it all and was from practically magical royalty, with House Malfoy being a hugely powerful name in the wizarding community. The Malfoys commanded complete and total respect, and I'd happily assume that Narcissa's parents were more than ecstatic at the news of their relationship. However, despite all of that, Narcissa genuinely loved Lucius quite a lot. She supported his role as a Death Eater, she supported Lord Voldemort, but she would not become a Death Eater. That was something beyond her desire. She may have wanted to please the right people, but she would not do something she didn't want to do. They had a child in Draco, uniting the House of Black and Malfoy with another pureblood child. Narcissa really nailed it in terms of everything that was expected of her. She didn't go to the extremities of either sister. She kept a neutral position of favour, but still made it known that she backed her husband as a Malfoy. I think it's a very interesting point of discussion when we think of how the fates of all three sisters concluded after the book ended. Bellatrix, too devoted, too unstable, would lose her life. Andromeda, defying her family for love, ended up losing the person she risked everything for, while Narcissa cleverly played her hand to her favour. She kept her husband, her son, and stayed out of prison. So guys, with that being said, I really hope you enjoyed today's video on the fates of the three Black sisters. I found it quite fitting that they all ended up so far apart when they began their life so closely knitted. Anyway, let me know your opinion. What sister do you think had it better off? I think it's pretty obvious that Narcissa was the winner, but let me know in the comments section below. Thanks again, and I'll see you all very soon.